a short promo for a future episode. Charlie said something about old or the cartoons that we grew up on. Said he mentioned something to you about it or something.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
I had moonshine when I first got up there and got a little tipsy.
Yeah, I like you nice and tipsy.
Yeah. And
does that need to be closer?
very much so.
I meant you.
Yes. Oh, yes. It all needs to be closer. Very close.
Is this on? Is
ASMR.
Is this on?
Yeah. Let me see what's under that dress. Like Howard Stern.
That's all we're gonna do the whole time.
Yeah. Let me.
You're now listening to the sounds of. This is that quality content people are really signing up for, I think.
Let me see what's under that Bret Hart shirt. You're listening to Love Radio.
Well, this is your show.
This is my... I can do what I want.
You can do whatever you want. You can moan. You can take your pants off.
Uh-huh.
One day I'm going to get you out of them pants.
This is all things that he's like just insinuating. He's like, you could probably do that. Like now, even if you, if you wanted to.
I think you're pretty good at taking your shirt off.
Yeah. I bet you can't do it.
I bet you won't.
You can't take those pants off right now here.
So my back's feeling better.
Is it?
I had like 9 sessions of intensive physical therapy for it.
Really?
I had like the TENS, like the electrical shocks to the back and everything. And,
oh, yeah. So you went to chiropractor then?
Well, I actually, I'm lucky to know a doctor of physical therapy where I work, and he was helping me out.
Yeah,
shout out to St. John's Nursing and Rehab Center.
Yeah, I'll electrocute you, sure.
Yeah, I think he was really enjoying it, to be honest with you.
Yeah?
What a psycho. Good guy, though. Good guy. Great guy.
They just like, I'll let you cook. I get hooked up to it, and he just slowly like turns the dial, and it's like, let me know when you're good. And me being me, I'm like,
oh, so you've been on that thing too.
Keep going. It can
get pretty painful, though, right?
Right about when it's just before uncomfortable, I'm like, that's good.
What percentage have you been up to? Like, what number?
I think only like 6 or something like that.
Well, this thing that he's hooked me up to.
It's a 1 to 10, so I don't know.
Oh, this one goes up higher, so it must be something slightly different. He was calling it the Larry Legend treatment because he was putting it up to 33. Hey, but I'm feeling great now. Is there a ghost in here? I guess we're back into that time where I have to go like this. He may edit this out.
Who what?
He should probably edit this out.
Oh. I should. No, this is content. Good content.
Good quality content.
Pantsless yelling at my daughter.
Yep. Wait. There's a lot wrong with that statement.
Yeah, I probably should yell louder.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And maybe moan a little bit as you're doing it.
Oh, God. Jeez Louise. I got a whole free flat Sprite yesterday. I was up at the wedding. They had so much left over. Or, I say so much. Like, if they bought 5 flats of something, they used 1.
Wow.
And
any booze left over? You should have brought it home.
They got a beer cart or a beer, whatever it is, trailer. So it was interesting.
That's an amazing increment. Like, hey, what would you like to drink tonight? I'd like a trailer of beer, please. Thank you.
It's what it was. They brought in. It's like one of those small, like, probably could fit a snowmobile, maybe 2 snowmobiles.
I'd like a vat of vodka, please.
Yeah. It's a trailer, and it was really nice. It's decked out, looked really professional. But the way it works is the guy doesn't need a liquor license at all because he's not serving anything. What he does, he brings in a trailer, and the party buys the beer, the kegs. Right. All he does is bring the trailer, drop it off, put the kegs on tap, and leave, and then come back the next day and pick up the trailer.
I'd be like dead next to it by the next morning.
Well, the trailer shows up, and there's a couple of guys like at the end of the night. one of them was like, everyone's like, where's your wife? It's like, well, I got the trailer, so I mean, he was already way gone.
And that's all.
He's like, I'll be okay.
That's all we need. Is that trailer of beer.
It was a good time. The trailer, what I was talking about, it's like $500 ish for just the trailer. If you can have a bartender there as well, and it's like an extra $150.
What's the point
But I mean, if everything's on tap, but you don't need a liquor license, you literally have a trailer, convert it, and you can make $500 a night, just dropping it off and leaving.
Why don't we have this as a business?
The whole night, I was like, like it would pay for itself in like 3 or 4 bookings.
Seriously, it would.
Yeah.
And I know a bunch of people that would finish a trailer of beer where this could work.
He said, Rich, it's always at your house. Why don't...
It's me. I'm people.
I know me and me in the other shirt.
I know some people.
Yeah.
You know. Me.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Me in the living room. Me in the kitchen. There's like a whole party of me.
So speaking of beer trucks, I think that's some sort of a segue to what we were going to talk about.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're not talking about Steve Austin, but we are talking about wrestling.
Yes.
That was Albany, New York.
We left off the last episode that I was in with a interesting cliffhanger. Well, it was Matt Hardy, so it wasn't really that interesting, I guess. But it was fun. It was a good segue. You did well. It's your show.
That's right. The segue was I think it was a tweet that Matt Hardy put out.
Yes.
And I told you after the fact.
Yeah.
But what it was, for whoever's living under a rock that doesn't know, Bray Wyatt was released July 31st, which I think was a shock to pretty much everybody in the...
I know I was blown away when I saw that news break.
I have not paid much attention to wrestling.
The most profitable guy that they've had in the last year or two.
A merchandise machine.
Alone.
Yeah.
He was an absolute monster with the merch, with the masks. His figure, and I'm avid collector. His figure, the Fiend, was going off the shelves. You couldn't get it on ringsidecollectibles.com. Yeah, I mean, it was just sold out everywhere. It's unbelievable.
And they released Braun Strowman and Ruby Riott, Ruby Soho. Yep. A whole bunch of... Who else did they release? It was kind of...
Cole.
They somehow... Adam Cole and...
Cole and Black kind of... Malachi Black kind of...
their contract expired.
Their way in.
Yeah, and they just let him go. I think Malachi was... oops.
They let Daniel Bryan walk, dude. Or Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon now.
Yeah, who? Daniel who?
Yeah, right?
I don't... So a lot of people went, but Bray Wyatt, I think, was the biggest surprise because that wasn't a let go, like a smaller talent, or they let their contract expire. That was just a release.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was like, seriously, the only thing that I was tuning in. Well, that's not true. It was him and Brock Lesnar, but at that time, Brock Lesnar wasn't back yet.
Well, I mean, I've only been tuning in, and we'll probably talk about this, honestly, for anybody who returns, like an Edge. But the only current superstar on that roster that I actually care about right now is probably Roman, because he's doing well now. His act is, and his whole shtick, it's the best thing in professional wrestling right now. The fact that he didn't win, I guess, what is it, the PWI #1?
Yeah.
It's a nonsense thing, but the fact that he wasn't #1 over like Omega was almost a slap in the face.
I think Omega was just because...
The guys that write PWI...
They're all marks.
Yeah, they all jerk each other off. Actually, our boy Dave Meltzer, he already blocked me on Twitter, so...
Did he really?
Yeah, he blocked me like a year ago. I think I called him a twat.
And I'm not... I have no...
Very mature on Twitter.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to be 38 tomorrow.
I'm not
Happy
a
birthday
mark
to me.
for... Shut up, you. This is my show.
This is your show.
I'll say the happy birthdays.
Oh.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
That's enough. I don't want a response.
Okay.
I'm not a mark for WWE or AEW or anything. I enjoy watching it from a bird's eye view to just see what happens. But it's so prevalent right now, like the marks that are anti-WWE. Yeah. And one, I guess, is all these like wrestling magazines and whatnot, when they put Kenny Omega in there, just because of Kenny Omega being who he is and how great he was over in New Japan, and now he's in AEW, so he carries his name over, but minus the match he had with Bryan Danielson this last week.
That was an incredible match. I actually did make sure to watch that.
Like, there hasn't been a lot of fantastic coming out of Kenny Omega since he's been to AEW.
It's going to be a hot take, but I've always found him to be a little overrated. I know he's incredible. I get it.
Yeah, he's a great worker, but I mean, so are a couple other dozen
I think
wrestlers.
Cole is just as good, if not better, in the ring. I know Daniel Bryan's a better mat wrestler than him. And we just saw how good, like, Omega actually wrestled up a level to wrestle someone like Daniel Bryan.
Right.
Or Bryan Danielson.
I tell you what Kenny Omega's great at is he's great at working the crowd. He's almost old school in working the crowd because he does it a lot.
He's a better heel too.
Yeah.
I find. I started warming back up to Omega once he became a heel. And he became this like the belt collector.
He became like triple lowercase h.
He's not very good on the promo though.
No,
he kind of talks like this. It's like, it's weird. It's like a weird delivery. It's like not realistic.
There's no,
like, it's not authentic. It doesn't feel authentic when
presence.
No, it's goofy.
Right.
It's almost goofy. Like, I don't know if you've seen a lot of his promos.
A few of them.
I don't find him to be very captivating.
No.
I get it though. I understand why he has such a huge legion of fans. And I'm here for it. I'm here for this whole Omega versus Danielson because I've loved Bryan Danielson. I have for years since Ring of Honor. Really, I've been following him.
Right. He was fantastic. We'll just go right into that match. I don't normally watch, like, I just follow things on, like, online after the fact. And then they announced that match. I was like, I'm going to see this. So it was,
I had to see it.
Thursday night or Wednesday night I was doing something. I think it was,
God, they opened with it, by the way, so I could go to bed early.
Yeah, like, yeah.
That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah. Wednesday morning I woke up. I'm up, like, real early. So I came right in here, and I'm like, let's find this thing. And luckily, there was really easy. I just, full match, boom, right there.
Awesome.
Crystal clear quality in YouTube. And I watched it, and it was the first match in a long time that I've been captivated from start to finish.
And it was a wrestling match. It wasn't like a video game match where they're just kind of, high spot.
Yeah.
It was actually a Danielson match. Like, he pretty much probably led the way just to kind of slow down Omega and teach him how to actually tell a story. That's exactly what they did. But I cringe a little bit sometimes because I still worry about that dude, Danielson.
His concussion or
just that there's that one spot on the stage where he does I think it's the dragon suplex. And then Danielson takes it.
He slides
down,
yeah. Well,
but it was still over his head. And I'm like, ugh.
It wasn't so much that as it was actually when they did the Super Dragon Suplex. Even though he did a flip,
avalanche version, or
when they were setting up for it, I'm like, all right, here we go.
but what they did right about that is he did the backflip.
Yeah,
he didn't land on anything that he has injured in the past.
Right.
So that's what
let's look for a new injury this time. Let's blow out that kneecap.
Yeah. but the match was just tremendous.
Yeah, it was,
and they ended it well. I think the story was right.
What I was just gonna say is, when they got about the 27-minute mark, 28 minutes, you knew how it was going to end.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Once they got that far into it and they were both just not, like, really giving into anything, it's like, okay, this is going to be a draw. I thought, like, we were talking about, I don't remember if it was on camera or not last week. We were talking about the...
There's one upstairs, too.
It's the same one.
Wait.
I'm cheap. You mentioned that you thought that they were going to have Bryan Danielson win.
I thought so.
Which would have been a regular wrestling thing to do.
And in that way, when it's for the belt, Omega would go over then.
Right.
That way you're not giving the belt right away to Danielson.
But they did something they haven't done in a long time in wrestling.
Time limit draw.
Yeah, a time limit draw.
And I was okay with that. It felt old school. It felt like territory.
There wasn't like outside interference, like a disqualification or anything like that, or someone gets carted off in the middle of the match, an injury.
You see in like the Flair days, like the territory days.
Like,
Like Memphis or somewhere out there, like when they were Tennessee. Like, they always had those, like, time limit draws, and then it worked the crowd so the way they'd all come back to the next city.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing. Like, everyone's like,
It's smart.
well, I want to see
It's good.
someone.
That's good booking.
Yeah. Like, this could set up for maybe some sort of Iron Man match, or at least
Yeah.
like a 60-minute. So at a pay-per-view, they'd be like, okay, keep going. Like, the crowd was hot for this, too.
I
Chanting "Fight Forever," which you hear a lot during.
But it actually felt more like a big fight feel in this particular match. It's probably the biggest fight feel I've gained from AEW in their entire existence, other than the Rhodes match, like the brother versus brother.
Right.
That was huge, and because like Punk really hasn't had marquee match yet.
Yeah, he's had like his matches feel more as though they're warming him up, knocking ring rust off.
Yeah, but he's box office, man.
Right.
That was the big black eye to WWE was Punk. I mean, like him or not, he's still, he's over, man.
He is over. The only thing
deafening.
I'm starting to. It was fine in the beginning. It was captivating in the beginning.
That first promo was amazing.
When he takes jabs at WWE, but now it's like he does it every time they see him. It's like, okay, we get it.
And then on the other
everybody
side,
gets it.
On the other side of that same exact point, you got the classiest guy maybe in the history of pro wrestling outside of Mick Foley, Danielson, who thanks them. And has this actually really nice, well thought out. Thank you for everything. He even called Vince the big guy.
And apparently he said that they actually, even though they can't trademark the yes, like he can go over to AEW
and chant yes
it. Because it's such a common word, you can't trademark yes.
But he's such a classy dude, he's going to respect it and honor it.
WWE, I guess, executives or someone in the office asked them, listen, could you not do that?
And he'll do it.
Yeah, and he... Okay.
Because unlike CM Punk, he's not a twat.
That's true.
Going into Punk a little bit, and you know this from being friends with me, but I've been a pretty staunch critic of him for the decisions as a fan. You know, I was a huge Punk mark.
Right.
And I didn't like the way that all went out, and I felt like he kind of turned his back on his own fans. You got to make your dates. I understand, but you got to make your dates, dude. You have a contract. These people paid money for you specifically. You got to make those dates at least.
Wasn't he like horribly sick though? Like,
yeah, he was, but at least have an explanation then for your fans.
Right.
He didn't. He just ghosted everybody, and then ever since he just seemed everything he said. He seemed like a bitter bitch. But that promo, that opening promo, I can eat my words a little bit. I got it from a different perspective after seeing him deliver it, saying, you know, as long as you understand that I couldn't be in the same place that made me sick in the first place, I get it. Because I think we've all been there. We've all been there with a job that's been, you know, soul crushing.
Yeah, this is destroying me. I'm out.
Yeah. So I guess it's like all right, I forgive you. So now I'm a low key fan of his.
Yeah, I want to see him do well.
Yeah, I want to see what happens now.
Not because I'm a Punk fan, because honestly, before when he was huge in WWE, I wasn't watching. Like
I had the shirt. I actually flew to Miami to watch him at Mania.
Right.
I think it was Jericho that he faced then. Ironically, now they're back together in AEW.
What's Jericho doing?
Looking like Mickey Rourke.
I guess Jericho wanted to break up the inner circle there.
Did it?
Yeah, I read that. I think it was yesterday. I read that his idea was to break up the inner circle, and I guess Tony Khan came to him and said, "Why would you want to do that? Why don't you just part ways without splitting the group? Like you do your own things."
I didn't hear that. Is it me, or is Jericho now almost kind of becoming the Batman quote, the living long enough to see yourself become the villain? Like, is he staying around too long now? It seems cringy almost.
When he first went to AEW,
it was terrific.
Even then, I'm like,
but he was setting the table.
You're getting a little older, but this is a brand new organization, so it's great to have it like name power,
a big name.
Yeah, and then they got more and more people, and then they just like in the last few months, it's like a steamroller. It's just like there's signing.
When he first came in, he was Le Champion.
Yeah,
and it was great, and he was serious, and he was a believable champion. He's a legend, one of the greatest ever. Maybe pound for pound, when you qualify all of the characteristics, he might be the best ever. But man, all this comedy routine stuff, it's getting a little bit old. The shtick, I think.
Yeah, and I just don't want to see him be like the new Hulk Hogan.
I know, especially because he had criticized stuff like that in the past.
Lex Luger, like basically WCW era.
I think he's there.
Circa
I
1999.
hate to say it too, because I love him, but I think he's there now.
Yeah, and maybe that is why. Maybe he thinks that in the back of his head, which is why he had the idea to break up the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
And just do one or two more long-term storylines to, like, kind of
ride off into the sunset.
Something like that.
He's been doing a lot of commentary. I don't know if you've been hearing any of it.
No.
He yells a lot.
He always does.
I know, but it's like everything. All right, dude. Like, lay off the yak before you get on the mic, homie. We get it.
No, I haven't seen his commentary, but I'm also not surprised if he's just screaming and shouting out there.
Yeah.
It's like JR or Jerry the King Lawler back then.
Yeah. but he would just yell nonsense. Puppies.
It's commercial. It's commercial break. What are you doing?
Yeah.
He's doing blinds of blow. I don't know if he actually did.
Allegedly.
Yes.
So yeah, that's kind of the current state on that. They've got a movement.
AEW?
Now it's serious. Yeah, now it's like it's getting pretty freaking serious. They just sold out. They set a record. Did you see this? They were the biggest non-WWE.
Oh, in New York.
In any venue in America since WCW.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. That's a 20-some-odd year record. I mean, they're getting pretty serious now.
Going back to what we started talking about, signing all these people. Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Like we said, merchandise machine.
Yeah.
They released him. Now, anybody, before we get where he might end up, anybody who knows anything generally about any kind of business, letting all these contracts go is a hell of a sign that it's going to go up for sale.
And we kind of alluded to that in the last podcast.
Right. So
it seems like it.
Yeah. And they let Bray Wyatt go. And I don't think he can compete until October 31st or 30th or something like that. It's like the very end. It's like 29th or 31st or something.
There's a show coming up in Rochester.
Right, yeah.
I think he'll be ready then.
And
sooner.
Everyone's been talking about that because
they've got it circled.
That's Brody Lee's hometown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine him being the new leader of the Dark Order. Dark Order is pretty awful.
I've tried watching the Dark Order, and it's really a mid-card to jobber level bunch of...
But if you bring in Bray Wyatt, maybe cut some of the fat out of that group.
Yeah.
Maybe even get yourself, a Rowan and Strowman and get the boys back together for a new Dark Order in the honor of Brody Lee. Ooh, I'm going to tell you right now, there won't be a dry eye in Rochester. They'll cry. I mean, they'll be over.
There is a rumor, I guess this morning I saw, that Bray Wyatt could debut on AEW television as early as this week, somehow.
Is that the Rochester show coming up?
I don't think it's... No, because that is supposed to be... I think the Rochester show is the one they're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
Actually, no.
Or reading.
I don't know if the Rochester show is at the end of October. I'd have to check that one.
Yeah.
But
it's coming up, though. I know that.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of these dirt sheets, I guess, are pointing to. That if he's going to debut for them, probably then.
There's a lot of people that say that he wouldn't fit in AEW because he's such an over-the-top character, like persona.
He's so creative. I bet he can figure it out.
I say the same thing.
I mean, look at just the shtick with when he was the leader of the Wyatt family. That wasn't too over the top.
No, that was my favorite version of him. The original Wyatt family. And just backwoods, cultish
that could fit.
Leader. That's not Fiend. That's not Undertaker. That's not Kane. That's not all these crazy Bigfoot, Giant Gonzalez gimmicks or anything. That's, by the way, I love Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah, who doesn't?
He's
great costume.
Yeah. The one with the actual hair on him, not the spray painted one. WrestleMania 9.
I think Undertaker still says it's like he's still pissed at at Vince and Bruce Pritchard for booking him against him, and he still gives him his shit.
That's the only
8 feet tall though.
Yeah, he was his actual height was like 7'8".
Yeah, he was pretty close to 8.
It's close. Yeah, close enough. Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty damn.
You're not 8 feet tall.
Yeah, right. You're not 8 feet tall.
Okay,
pussy.
Anyway,
Rest in peace, Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's awesome. Was awesome. Bray Wyatt's not an over-the-top character like that.
No, and he'll probably be, Wyndham. He'll probably be something like Bray Wyndham.
Which would be fine.
That'd be awesome, I think.
Or Wyndham Riot. Or Wyatt.
Wyndham
Wyatt.
I got to imagine it'll be an amalgamation of, like, his actual lineage to wrestling once he goes... Because for some reason, WWE always screws that up. Like, did you see this Braun Breaker?
It's not some
Did you
reason.
see Braun Breaker yet?
No.
So, NXT, Braun Breaker. That's his name. That's his guy's name. You know what his real name is?
No.
Rex Steiner, which is a way better name.
It is.
It's actually the son of Rick.
Is it really?
And he looks like $1 million, right? And, he's very, very, what do they say, green?
Braun Breaker.
That's the name. We're gonna call him Braun Breaker, damn it.
Chili McFrost.
Yeah.
I think that was one of Stone Cold's really... Yeah, come on. Yeah, so we know... Yeah.
Your name is gonna be Braun Breaker. Such good shit, pal.
Ice Dagger, something or other. Like, get out of here.
I mean, come on, Rex Steiner. It fell into your lap.
Seriously. You don't need anything. That's like an Adam Cole kind of deal. It's like
their bitterness gets in the way of them succeeding sometimes.
Is it bitterness, or is it the fact that they want to have 100% complete control of...
Probably a little bit of that, too. Or mostly that.
Yeah.
But there's got to be an element of Vince being like, oh, I don't like Scott Steiner.
So you've heard Scott Steiner talk like, what Hall of Fame? Like, I can't physically... Like, Scott Steiner's beef with...
He's never given any shits.
No, and that's why I like Scott Steiner.
He's never cared.
I love Scott Steiner. He doesn't care about his promos and
I loved him in the late 90s, man. That was working, that gimmick. And he could wrestle.
Oh, yeah.
He was a great wrestler.
He loved
all those suplexes and the Frankensteiner.
I think his ring rust is really what did him in WWE.
Yeah, he was already getting up there, and you mean when he came back in the 2000s?
Yeah.
Plus, he came there, and that was when Triple H was at the highest of his ego.
Yeah, he's like, no, you're not going over.
You're not going to beat me.
He's like the new Hulk Hogan. Game. He was the new Hulk Hogan of the early 2000s. Bray Wyatt, or whatever, Wyndham Rotunda, I think him being the new leader of the Dark Order would get over very well. A lot of people are saying, well, he'd be better in Impact Wrestling. Now, I don't watch Impact Wrestling.
Nobody
That's
does.
one I watch. Well, so they did for a second or two.
There was a strong...
In 2002, when they first came up as NWA TNA.
They were good all the way until about 2011-ish.
Yeah.
After Hogan came in. Surprise, surprise, he ruined another one.
He made one and ruined them all.
Yeah.
Hogan's a leech. He's a mole. That's what he is. He's like, listen, this is good shit, Hogan. Yeah. I need you to do something.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene.
Yeah.
Mean Gene's dead, bro.
Whoa.
Well, brother. He's lived long enough to be a real piece of shit.
He's a locust to go. Yeah, and we don't want Chris Jericho becoming that.
No.
Granted, he's not. I don't think. Anyway, there's no stories come out yet. I don't think he's a backstage politician like Hogan.
No, I think historically he hadn't been, but we don't know what's really going on in AEW now.
We'll find out in 15 years or so.
But Hogan's just not a good person. He never was.
No, great persona.
Yeah, I mean,
fantastic charisma, clearly.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he's a shithead.
Great action figures too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny it.
Yes. NXT, you're talking about whatever that gimmick was, what was it? The Braun Breaker?
Yeah.
Did you see the woke gimmick?
No, they have one of those now.
Apparently they had a woke gimmick that
could be really good for heel heat, though,
that it showed up for a show, and I guess CNN and everyone just had a field day with it, and the whole thing was completely wiped off social media. The clips of his debut was gone.
Who was it?
I couldn't even tell you. I'd have to go back in like Wrestle Talk or something to see where I could find it.
Was it good? Did you see it?
I saw it, and as I'm watching the news...
It had to have been good enough for them to want to wipe it out.
Yes. They were talking about like his promo and how ABC and CNN and all these left-wing news outlets just completely like all their attention went there.
You could make that into such good heel heat.
From what I gathered,
like holier than thou, I'm better than you.
Nothing was really said to like.
So there wasn't any real buzz.
No, I think like the attention went to him, and everyone just panic pulled the plug. Like, oh, too much.
Just like they did Muhammad Hassan.
Oh, that would have been such a fan.
He was good.
Heat was.
He was good too on the mic. He was good in the ring. He was about to get a match with Undertaker, but it was the London bombing.
Yeah,
that's what ruined it.
And then on top of that, they had all the masked guys
terrorists
come in and. Yeah, they had all the masked guys come in and like abduct Undertaker or something like that, or like whatever they did. They beat him down, and after that, like he just disappeared. I though was able to be at his return to pro wrestling, and
that's awesome.
ICW when he came back after however many years.
In college I was roommates with one of his cousins actually.
Really?
Yeah, serious, because he's from Syracuse. I went to Oswego, so most of my friends were from Syracuse. Well, I guess he's
from like Syracuse, Iraq, or something, right? What do you mean?
His name's Muhammad.
Yeah,
obviously he's not
Syracuse.
Italian.
That heat was fantastic. That was.
You want to talk about like real heat? That's good in today's wrestling. Is that MJF? He's got some serious real heat, and he's probably one of the best on the mic today. He's okay in the ring. Doesn't blow me away.
No, I've seen some of his matches.
He's okay, but he's
not terrible at all. But
it's that mic. I don't think anyone really touches him.
But in pro wrestling, like that's if you can hold a match, you don't have to carry it like a Bryan Danielson or anything like that. But if you can work the crowd on the microphone and wrestle a good match, just good, watchable, that's all you need. You don't even need that. Like, look at Hulk Hogan. Like, maybe no, right?
That was the cartoon era, though. So I mean, obviously they were all
Hulk Hogan. Like, not even like over exaggerating. Like Hogan seriously only did 7 or 8 moves.
Yeah, I mean there was, and I'll even though I'm a
in WWF.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was Japan
in the early days when you watch his old stuff.
Yeah, like
in
when
Florida,
he was in the territory days.
Yeah,
but also in Japan.
In Japan,
because he knew he had to bring it in Japan because they weren't gonna play that shit.
Yeah, he could.
There wasn't gonna be a lot of brothering.
Yeah, no.
In Japan, it's strong style or no style.
He could work a match. Thing is you didn't have to over here.
Yeah.
Over here, you just let your character just explode.
Did you see this thing that came out about Hogan recently about that someone wrote like a book or an article or like a whole page of all of the historic Hulk Hogan lies?
No.
Oh my! I wish I had it.
That would be good though.
I wish I was prepared enough to have these out, but they were hysterical. It was on some other podcast I was listening to. Might have even been Cornets or something like that. But I was in tears laughing at all these. There were some doozies in there.
You don't even need like a paper like that. If you listen to
Foreman, the Foreman grill, he missed it because he was out at a restaurant.
I did hear that. That was one I heard years ago, untrue. Actually. Yeah.
He said
that would have been the Hogan grill, brother.
One of my favorite ones, and I'm going to remember this correctly. He actually said, because he was traveling to Japan so much one year, that he worked 400 days in the year. Like, dude, come on, man.
Well, I was going back and forth so much, so fast. I'd work 6 shows in one day and then fly back and have another one.
As an extra day, brother.
Yeah, and then have another one earlier in the day than the show I just left.
Those tricky time zones, bro.
I'm not surprised. I worked.
I mean, they were
days
some
a year.
really epic lies. They even brought up the one where he claimed that Undertaker, when he beat him the first time in the early '90s, hurt his neck. His head doesn't even touch the mat.
Oh, yeah. He's like, he dropped me on my neck, bro. Do you think that's him lying, or do you think that's him still in the days of, like, being
He's
kayfabe?
Posturing. I think he was posturing, because I guess that went on in the locker room, too.
Oh. You see, he dropped me on my neck. It was on the steel chair. Ric Flair threw it. Yeah, and he dropped him. I think Undertaker's hand might have been on his shoulder, too.
It was.
And
it was one of those where he was younger and stronger, so he was packaging him up on his shoulder more, and literally his head doesn't even come close to the chair. But I guess in the locker room, because Undertaker did a podcast, he might have even said this on Rogan.
Yeah, I think he bitched about it.
Yeah, he was laying down in the dressing room, pretending like his neck was like
yeah,
broken.
I did. I think it was on Rogan's. He was talking about that, and he was
funny.
Like, "Oh,
super funny." Doesn't even touch. But he was posturing. He was trying to do that so he could get the belt back, and kind of bury a young talent. You couldn't bury Undertaker though. He was going to be a major star no matter what.
He had. Who do you think had the best intro, like the greatest debut? And I'll just go out and say in wrestling history.
Well, I mean, one that always comes to mind is always Jericho's. Was pretty epic. When he interrupted The Rock.
Yep, he had a big pop for that one.
But you mean debut as a new character or
anything? No, anything. New character, new promotion.
I think Jericho comes up top of the list for me. It's got to be pretty close.
A lot of people, I bring that up because a lot of people I know say The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Which I think more people were more in shock, especially because that was a little kid's thing. Yeah. And you see this like huge 6'10" guy walk out, and he's supposed to be the dead man. You're like, what the hell is this? Back in 1990.
You got to look at the Outsiders when they came to WCW, like especially Scott Hall. That whole promo of you know why I'm here, but you don't know why.
You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here.
But he's still doing it in the Chico accent.
Which was great because he didn't call himself Razor Ramon, but everybody knew who he was.
It was like a couple weeks later he dropped the accent.
Yeah,
that actually created. I know too much nerdy stuff, but that actually created a lawsuit because he was using the accent. They said that was like intellectual property. Like, wait, so a Hispanic accent is now intellectual property?
You can't do that. Let's just say he's not from Cuba. He's Haitian now.
Yeah, he's not actually Scarface, Vince. Dígame, you kidding me or what, man?
And then it was a week later. A week later, Kevin Nash debuted.
Yeah,
I think it was a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
It was very shortly after. I would say Hogan would have been the biggest if they didn't do it the way they did. Because they had a huge parade for him, so by the time he
mean when he was the good guy coming?
In '93 or 90. It was 93.
I think it was '93. That was when he was skinny Hogan.
Yeah, it's just
off the gear.
Dropping a bunch of weight because I got to go to Hollywood, brother. Yeah. Thunder in Paradise.
You mean he was off the gear?
Yeah,
Gears of War.
They had this whole pageantry and everything for him.
Yeah,
and
it was absurd.
Yeah, and by the time he wrestled,
celebrities and all that shit. Yeah, I remember that.
By the time he wrestled, everyone already knew he was there. Yeah. So that I think was a blown opportunity for a huge eruption.
Yeah.
That said, I think mine would have to be. It would either be the Outsiders, or it would be Kane in '97.
Kane is a good one, and actually that debut is in one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time. I mean, historically, my all-time favorite is HBK, and that match was a 5-star classic.
Yeah,
it's actually the best Hell in the Cell match, but it's not the one that everyone talks about.
It's overshadowed by the second one
because of that. That one's great, but it was not the better match.
No,
it was just two major crazy spots that. Boy, man, Mick Foley, what a crazy son of a...
You know what? Those two crazy spots that overshadowed the other spots, like the thumbtacks and everything.
And because there was a little bit of a cool match that was going on in there, too.
But unfortunately, the through the duration of the match, like a third of it was actually wrestled.
Yeah.
Because there was the entrances.
But that Undertaker's iconic moment when he comes off of the stretcher and he
goes back up
away from everybody.
Yeah. You can't. That's like a Hogan slamming Andre.
That's a moment.
Yeah, that's one of those things that
you could never redo.
You can't plan for that. It just happens out there.
And that famous shot of his face when the tooth is in his nose.
Yeah.
And the blood is coming out of his mouth.
He's trying to put his tongue through the hole, and everyone's like, he's smiling, he's laughing. He's like, I was just trying to put my tongue through the hole.
It's not the better match, but it is.
No.
It's epic.
Yeah.
As a moment, but the better match was Shawn Michaels easily. I mean, that match was a clinic.
What about the match between Mick Foley and Triple H in that Hell in a Cell match? What was that, Royal Rumble 2001?
It's either 2000 or 2001.
I think it might have been 2000.
But that was probably a better match than his one with Taker.
Oh, yes.
As far as the actual quality of the in-ring and psychology of a match, that was probably a better match.
Yeah.
And he still had that little spot but that was far more planned.
It's like going through the ring and which that's fine. It was still cool. But
the street fight they had either the month before or the month after was amazing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That they did a lot of crazy shit for the street fight.
When he went through the mat in the first one, it was planned. But anyone who's taken any kind of wrestling bumps on actual wrestling ring, when Mick Foley goes through the cell with the Undertaker, and he drops and he lands 16 feet.
He says that's the worst bump.
I'll tell you this: like I've taken Robbie E did a wrestling clinic for
name drop
for oh shit, old wrestling promotion up here.
That's the name of
it?
Oh shit. Yeah. OSW?
Yeah, OSW.
Oh shit wrestling.
Yeah, that's right. We Are the Dynasty. That's who it is. They didn't call it anyway. That's a whole other thing. Why they? It was the Dynasty's pro wrestling thing back in the day, and Robbie E came up and he did a clinic, and we took wrestling bumps. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I was like, I get a pro wrestler from TNA at the time.
Yeah.
So I'll go.
He's in NXT now.
Yeah, he is. I'll do that. That'd be fun. And so we did a bunch of bumps, ran the ropes, did lockups and everything. Taking a bump is rough. So even with the shock and everything, it's rough.
Yeah,
it's
you got to
hard.
weather your body to it.
It's hard. I thought it was great. It was fantastic. So I did that. It was like one thing, check off the bucket list. Knowing that now, taking a regular bump, just regular height, body slam, dropping 16 feet on a stiff mat like that, holy hell.
It was a car crash when you see that. Like,
he goes down, I'm like, and after the respect of actually knowing what it feels like, I'm like, oh, jeez.
yeah. You know why he needed multiple surgeries.
He lost, what, 2 inches or 3 inches over the years?
And he was like a 6'4", like kind of a monster.
He got it back.
Size guy.
He got some of it back. Like, he's done yoga with DDP and all
Yeah.
that. But yeah, so seeing that bump and knowing what it feels like. Not that bump. I don't know what that feels like. I'm sure it's not fun, but...
And that was our transition to Kane. Kane was your favorite or one of your top debuts.
Anyway, going way back in the Hell in a Cell. I think, off the top of my head anyway, there's a couple other ones I thought were great. Just my own personal, like, you know, when AJ Styles showed up, I was like...
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I was like, that's awesome. That wasn't like the biggest pop or anything.
He had a good
but just
theme,
me,
too.
yeah. Oh yeah, his theme. I think it's one of my favorite themes.
Yeah, it was like, you know, and it was a good introduction to him at the Rumble.
Yeah,
some of those Rumble ones are tremendous.
Yeah, I know.
They're just so fun.
It's
like the only pay-per-view I really love still.
Yeah, it's fun to see just a surprise. It was the one year were we at your house and we watching Roman Reigns won?
I think that might have been. Weren't you there when AJ Styles debuted?
No, that was 16. I think I was there in 17 or 18.
Right.
The one where I think it was Roman Reigns one. I remember because the next day, all online was reactions to who was coming out at number 30.
Yeah.
And then Roman Reigns music hit, and I was like...
It's funny how much...
doing selfie videos, like, huge smiles, like, who's going to be? And then Roman Reigns, dude.
Yeah. Funny what a few years difference makes,
Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, yeah.
Because look at him now. We all love him.
Yeah, because he's not being shoved down your throat and the way McMahon wanted him to be portrayed as.
And you can tell that they're giving him...
more freedom?
Creative freedom on his promo.
Yeah.
And when you got someone like Heyman, doing the puppet mastery that he does, if he's not the best talker in the history of pro wrestling, I mean,
it's
you got to give me
either
a couple other people.
It's either going to be him, Bobby Heenan...
The Rock you can put in there.
Yeah, The Rock. People that are just like this.
Underrated.
Even
in the
CM Punk I would put up there.
CM Punk
CM Punk's not in a traditional wrestling way though.
CM Punk actually real.
Yeah, CM Punk comes across as a conversation.
Mick Foley.
Yes.
I think he often gets underrated on the promo.
Sadly.
But I always thought he was brilliant.
I would even...
Piper. I mean, Piper was great.
Piper was fantastic.
A lot of people like Jake.
And when he was in his absolute hot prime, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I would put in there.
Yeah, yep.
Because he would able
like ECW promos.
Yeah, that was the start of it. But like from '96 when he was able to get on the mic to like late '98, 1999.
Yeah,
like he was one of the best.
Roman is there. He's getting there, it's got to be under the tutelage of Heyman.
Yeah.
But man, is he good on the mic now? I got to imagine he goes, "Hey Paul, is this good?"
Probably. I would. If I was in that, it's like, listen,
And he's a wizard. I mean, Paul's a wizard.
Paul can take a turd and turn it into fucking like a golden Everest.
Every interaction he has is great. And he's believable as that smarmy prick.
Yeah.
That
probably because he is.
Yeah. And then even
Paul, I love you.
Yeah. Even when he's acting like scared, this whole new angle with
Brock Lesnar. It's funny because Brock Lesnar, that's the angle.
Brock's talking.
Is like the X that comes back.
Yeah.
Because technically it is. Yeah, and Brock can talk. So anyway, I see this a lot on wrestling forums or Facebook pages. Like
he was a face.
Bro, I'm not even talking about that. Everyone's like, well, Brock can't talk. He sucks on the mic. These are people that clearly did not watch his UFC run.
Yeah, because he was great.
Brock, when in real life, he can cut people down. when he had those small one-liners when he came back, with the one I'm going to point out was with Heath Slater. I got kids, and Brock just walks up and goes, "I don't give a shit about your kids."
No, when he goes,
I was like, yes.
Another one from them was, "Hey, Paul, say something stupid." I love that one. It's just so funny. It was so funny to me.
Brock can talk. If you let Brock talk, he can
Minimally,
talk.
yeah. You got to just let him.
He's not
get
going
his
to
point across.
He's not going to be a Rock where he can turn
The whole crowd.
I'm going to say, "You suck, I'm going to beat you," and turn that into a 15-minute promo.
Yeah.
Like, that's not Brock
That's
Lesnar.
entertaining. Oh, we left out Cena as a great promo.
Yes.
Do you like it?
Oh, yes. Like,
he's a great
all right,
promo.
When Cena was full-time,
Yeah.
I hated him. Because there was another thing.
He turned me.
It was another thing with Roman Reigns in the beginning where he was just shoved down your throat. This is
Yeah.
the new Hogan. This is the new Stone Cold. This is like, I don't want him to be the new whatever. And then over the years, when he started to
Edit that out.
I think the house just fell apart.
We're finishing this damn podcast, brother.
When he started to really just sort of veer away from pro wrestling and get into Hollywood more, he'd come back, and really it's one of those things you don't really know what it is until it's gone. It comes back, and then he starts shooting these promos in the middle of all these other guys cutting promos. Like, wow, like he just shines above everybody else. Like,
You can just see it.
and it's not even, at least I don't think, it doesn't seem it. It's not even like it's written out.
When Cena goes, like when you can tell he's invested in the program, and he starts cutting those fourth wall, blur the lines of
Roman
reality.
Reigns. Was it 4 years ago or whatever
he
it was?
eats people alive.
Oh, yeah.
Cena kind of eats people up on the mic. Like,
It's
he
those.
he held his own against The Rock, dude.
It's those. I'm gonna learn you the hard way.
Yeah, like
One of those kind of things.
he doesn't.
You're gonna. I'm gonna.
He doesn't play around when he's serious
No,
about a program.
but you know what? In pro wrestling, anyway, like a business like that, that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need to slap. I mean, they
you
did
need
that
competition too.
in the old days. They did that with wrestlers, like breaking them into the business. They beat the hell out of them until they didn't want to come back. And if they came back, it's like, okay, I guess.
Flair and Dusty. We left them out on the promos.
Oh yes.
And even Funk to a certain
Flair
degree.
in the
Funk in like
80s?
the 80s too. Funk in the 80s was
Yes.
when he was like that evil heel, like all bloodied up and beating
Yep.
the shit out of people.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
again, you could sit here for a long time. Like Billy Graham.
Yeah.
Billy
yeah.
Graham.
There's a lot of
Jesse
great promos.
Ventura.
Yeah.
He was another one that was fantastic back then.
But
He
you
could
can't
talk.
leave out the man Dusty, dude.
No.
He was something different. He was something that Vince hated.
Here is another promo that's a different kind of fantastic promo. The Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, I loved him.
Because, like, Macho Man Randy Savage was a great promo.
Absolutely.
Ultimate Warrior was a great promo because it was like watching a train wreck.
I loved it.
And he would just spew on about random things. You could tell, like, he would be rattling off something, and just images, like pop-up book things, would just pop into his head, and he'd turn it into
I
a
defy
promo.
you to find someone in our age range that was a wrestling fan that did not love the Ultimate Warrior.
Me, actually,
I did.
because I was
a big
I was a Hogan fan, and that was when we were kids. I'm
when
like,
worlds collide.
who's this guy? Why is
See,
he shaking the ropes like that?
I was a Hogan fan, but I was also a Macho fan and a Bret Hart fan back then. But I did love me some Ultimate Warrior. I had both the Hasbros, I had two of the Hasbros, and
Like,
I
he had
always
the
wanted to
press
paint my-
one, and I think he
had a jumper. He had a
that's right,
press,
he did
a press one, a
Yeah.
gorilla press one, and then there's the other one with the purple tights. See how good I am at this. And I think that was like one of the ones where the action was like you bring the arms down. The one that like Axe had from Demolition.
Right. Didn't one of them, the Demolition guys, have the one where he actually pulled the arm back and it punches or something?
Yeah, it was like the clothesline one. I actually still have all three.
That was the Undertaker's, I know. He
He had that action as well.
I had that
But that was
Undertaker.
so did I think that was Crush.
Did he?
Who had that one?
Yeah.
The spring clothesline.
Yeah. Right, that's a whole nother podcast.
The punch one you're talking about, Jake the Snake had.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
he
I knew there was that
punch.
punch. Somebody had that punch.
The Flair one had the headlock one with the.
Yep.
That one was pretty funny.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Oh, I know. I love it.
Getting back to like
We're definitely having an action figure podcast.
a short promo for a future episode. Charlie said something about old or the cartoons that we grew up on. Said he mentioned something to you about it or something.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Hey, don't sell it. Don't sell it.
That's going to be the intro to this podcast.
Don't sell it.
He says to me, oh, I mentioned Rich was online. I shot him a message and said something about the
That didn't happen.
old cartoons that we grew up on. And Rich is all on board for a 3-person podcast. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Absolutely. I'm like, yeah, I had a good idea for once. Now I bring it up to you. It's like, what are you talking about?
No, he really did. I just didn't want to sell it. I was being a dick.
No, that's going to be the intro to this podcast. Like that right there. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, we'll do that. That'll be a future one. Anyway, we have AEW and the NXT and the woke thing, which I really want to find. I'm going to send that to you.
There's really nothing much else to talk about with WWE.
No.
Man, it is.
It's truly now WWE is Roman Reigns, the Big E thing.
Which I like. He's a good guy in real life.
He is, but you know what I hate when they do it, like he wanna.
And Bobby's act was over.
I feel like they win it, and maybe that's part of what it's supposed to be with cashing in. Like, there's no build or anything to it. I mean,
it's supposed to be that shock factor.
Yeah, there was he was winning the Intercontinental title.
Better for a heel, no?
But I feel like what they were doing was Big E is they were giving him the title, giving him this run, but they weren't. There was no story built behind it.
No.
Like, it was just like, look what we're doing on paper here. It's awesome, but that's it. And then you'd not hear anything until the next match.
And what they did that was, in my opinion, wrong. They railroaded an act that was really good with MVP and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
I mean, MVP, also terrific on the mic.
Right.
And he legitimized Bobby's legitimate background. You know what I mean? He was a perfect mouthpiece, and this whole cashing in, all that was reactionary to the whole AEW Punk and Bryan thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was reactionary, and it was a knee-jerk, and it was stupid. And honestly, I love Money in the Bank, but I think that it's better suited for a heel.
And you know what sucks?
That way you kind of you get over on the, kind of like what Edge would do, ultimate opportunist.
Right. You know what sucks for Big E? Because don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from Big E's title run or him winning it.
He just got
it's just how it happened. What sucks for him is because of the reason how it happened, it'll be that much easier for them to take it away.
It's going to be a transitional
championship. It's not going to be a draw.
Right? You got to imagine it's going to be a transitional championship. He's not main eventing WrestleMania.
How pissed will people be if it's for Brock Lesnar again?
It's going to be. Well, no, because Brock is very much
Universal.
Going after the other one. But I think...
Which would set up
who's going to beat him, right?
Oh, Brock.
Goldberg is going to beat Big E.
Do you think so?
Here's why I think so. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
I'm done.
Yeah. But Big E has been on record as saying that his dream opponent and one of his favorite wrestlers growing up was Goldberg. It would be an honor to him to probably lose to him in 2 seconds. Kind of like what they did, how they did my man Kevin Owens dirty.
That's good shit.
But and then that's how you get your rematch between Goldberg and Bobby Lashley, right? I could be wrong. That's just my prediction.
If Bobby Lashley wins it back there, great. I would love to see a Survivor Series non-title match. Title or non-title doesn't matter. Next year, not this Survivor Series, with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Doesn't have to be.
Why are we not getting that?
I don't know. It doesn't have to be for a belt. I just want to see those two.
Are they afraid they're going to really shoot in the ring, or what's going on here?
Oh my God, Brock Lesnar will kill Bobby Lashley.
Bobby's not a joke, though.
I've watched his fights though, like in Bellator. Yeah. He's a legitimate athlete,
and he's a real scholastic, collegiate and all-American wrestler. He was in the military.
He's legitimate.
Wasn't he a champion in the military?
But he's not Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is
a different breed.
He's a different breed. Exactly.
He's a guy who walked into the UFC and said, "I'm going to take their championship."
In 3 matches or 5 matches?
Fights. They gave him the championship fight too soon, but he was box office and he won.
Yeah.
And he won.
And there's a lot of people that shit on him when he lost the title to Cain Velasquez.
But then they didn't realize that he was...
everyone knew, but there's with any kind of argument, people and they forget about that part. He had diverticulitis.
Hey.
So...
This is topical for our podcast.
All right.
Look what I just got in the mail today. Bang, bang. It's my Cactus Jack official ECW action figure. I love it.
No, I haven't had anything new in a while.
I'm actually texting my wife back to say, I'm mentioning this on the podcast. She doesn't care.
No, it's probably not. It's whatever, stupid. She just chucks it in the corner when it goes off and does whatever.
She better not.
Yeah.
Why
is there a scuff on the plastic?
Is that corner a little crushed? Because I'm going to crush you.
Did this come in like this? You better say yes.
What else we got?
I think that's it. I think.
well, fuck then.
What else? I mean,
not a whole lot. I mean,
with WWE, there's not much going on. There's, like I said, there's the Big E thing, the way they're doing that, and like I think
everything
you
else is
agree.
Interchangeable nonsense.
Yeah.
The NXT rebranding was kind of goofy. At least Ciampa got the belt though.
I did see that.
Ciampa's the man. I like him.
We're talking about legitimate matches earlier. I was gonna say Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. When they had their battles. I mean, those were, talk about storyteller matches.
And honestly, like, they did that right with the storytelling because that was built over years.
Yes.
And when the payoff
years,
happened,
including when they were a team.
DIY.
And then they split up. And that was when they were against each other. That was a year in itself.
Some of their matches, oh my God. You couldn't tell if these guys were getting hurt. Like, they were brutal, it seemed like.
Tearing up the ring mats and everything. Like,
just all of it. I loved those matches. I loved NXT in that era. And now it's gone. Just a memory.
Yeah, and now
we've got Braun Breaker, pal.
Braun Breaker and the woke something or other.
I think you're getting mail underneath the door.
Ooh.
What did he get?
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
Braun will look at my mail. Not a federal no, you just can't open it.
I'll do what I want.
This is your podcast.
Yeah. It is mine now. I have the power.
He-Man. I'm going to get a replica of that sword.
For life. Whatever it is. Yeah.